Please repeat. Lord Shiva said,
Lord Shiva said,
you are all the sons of King Prachinabahi.
you are all the sons of King Prachinabahi,
And I wish all good fortune unto you.
and I wish all good fortune unto you.
I also know what you are going to do,
I also know what you are going to do,
and therefore I am visible to you,
and therefore I am visible to you,
just to show my mercy upon you.
just to show my mercy upon you.
Purport. By these words, Lord Shiva indicates that what the princes were going to do was known to him. It is a fact that they were going to worship Lord Vishnu by severe austerities and penances. Knowing this fact, Lord Shiva immediately became very pleased, as apparent by the next verse. This indicates that a person who is not yet a devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but who desires to serve the Supreme Lord, receives the benedictions of the demigods, headed by the chief demigod, Lord Shiva. Thus, a devotee of the Lord does not need to try to please the demigods separately. Simply by worshipping the Supreme Lord, a devotee can please all of them. Nor does he have to ask the demigods for material benedictions, for the demigods, being pleased with the devotee, automatically offer him everything that he needs. The demigods are servants of the Lord, and they are always prepared to help a devotee in all circumstances. Therefore, Srila Bilvamangal Thakur said that if one has unalloyed devotion for the Supreme Lord, the goddess of liberation is ready to serve him, to say nothing of the gods of material opulences. Indeed, all the demigods are simply waiting for an opportunity to serve the devotee. Thus, there is no need for a devotee of Krishna to endeavor for material opulence or liberation. By being situated in the transcendental position of devotional service, he receives all the benefits of Dharma, Artha, Karma, and Moksha. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Ragunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshware Vrishabhanu Sutadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhyayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. mukam karoti vachalam pangum langaite kirim yad kripa tamaham vande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Kantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Time is interesting. Yesterday, upon arriving at the temple, I was telling Lucas Prabhu that it seems like I was just here just a moment ago. You know, the same temple here, transcendentally situated, and by some good fortune, I'm back here in Zurich. So very happy to be amongst all of you, and looking forward to being of some sort of service. And this morning, happy to get the service of speaking from Srimad Bhagavatam. This chapter is called Chanting the Song Sung by Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is a very prominent devata, demigod. Well, in the Hindu world, sometimes there's some offense taken by this translation of the gods as demigods. In the Sanskrit, of course, it's devata. There's the devis and the devatas. So there it sounds okay, nice and divine. But Srila Prabhupada had to communicate to the entire world. So this concept of many gods is often confusing for the Western, you could say, Judaic, Abrahamic religion raised person. Because we understand from that training there's only one God. And now there are many gods. And Prabhupada had to make the distinction clear that there is Bhagavan and then there is the demigods or the devatas. So he translated devatas to demigods. Culturally different persons of Hindu persuasion may worship a particular deity. And naturally, because it's a personal process, they grow very fond of that deity. And for them, it's their Ishta Devata, is a worshipable Lord. And is as good as any other of the gods. In fact, they see it's an opulence. So the question sometimes comes that in this Vedic tradition, there are so many gods. Why are you devotees of Krishna so fanatic about Krishna? In a supermarket of so many gods, why fanatic about one? Aren't you losing out on 33 million? So the devotees are not necessarily fanatic, but they are fanatically focused on Krishna. Because Krishna advises that in the Bhagavad Gita. First of all, we find that Krishna discusses so many paths. The path of karma, the path of jnana, the path of yoga. He discusses that there is also ancestor worship, demigod worship. There's also people who worship spirits. But Krishna is then becoming clear that those who worship the demigods, where will they go? To the demigods. They worship their ancestors, they go to the ancestors. They worship different spirits, they go to those spirits. But those who worship me will come to me. And Krishna says that I actually give the faith with which one can worship whatever particular god, demigod. So Krishna says he wants exclusive devotion. After explaining all of this, what's his final instruction? Sarva dharmam parityaja mamekam sharanam vraja. Aham tvam sarva paupebhyo mokshaishyami masucha. Then give up all these other ideas of how you'll be liberated, how you'll become happy, all these forms of religion, and surrender unto me. So we can see that Krishna doesn't shy away from explaining all the different paths. Therefore, not being fanatic, When we're being fanatic, then from the start, we are very much exclusivists. This is the only way. And we see different parts that speak like that. Not to criticize other religions, but just to put them in perspective. If Jesus is the only way, then whoever doesn't follow the path as taught by Jesus is wrong and is going to hell. And definitely hell is warmer than Zurich. Then if one doesn't accept the Prophet Muhammad and that Allah as being the only God, will never see paradise. So exclusivists say that only their school has a monopoly on liberation or salvation. So it's fallacious because no university can claim to be the only one that can produce accountants, for example. Accountants can be produced in any country where there's a bona fide university. So then another group of practitioners of faith are the pluralists. Those who are pluralists, they say, as many paths as there are, as many ways of success that there are. So that says that, well, there are so many buildings. In all these buildings, we can produce accountants. So that's not correct. You can't just become an accountant without signing up to the parampara of accountancy and being certified by the professors of that field. So similarly, in the path of developing spiritual awareness, one has to sign up to a bona fide religion, bona fide teachers, scriptures, and in this way practice a process and attain that result. A third category is said to be those who are exclusivists or inclusivists. There we recognize, just as we mentioned how Krishna recognizes different parts. Krishna has said in the Gita, as they surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. All follow my path. So as they surrender, then they get the particular reward. But the paths are many, and they are all valid in as far as how far they go. Just like here in Switzerland, there's lots of big mountains. Is it famous for the Alps? And I'm sure there are many paths to climb the Alps. Some may go to particular heights, and some may take you all the way to the summit. So if we are going to take the path of spiritual liberation as something like climbing up a particular mountain, then the different schools or religions may teach to a certain level. Ultimately, the gradation as far as the Bhagavatam goes is that we judge a path by how much one gets to know God and love God. So the subject matter of study is God, the Supreme Person. The schools that are studying God are many. In the exclusivist path, then the assumption is that we already have God in our pocket. This is the only name of God, the only way to know God, and the only school to know God. Whereas the proper understanding would be just like there's one sun and there's so many planets moving around the sun. So in spiritual circles, the subject matter is love of God, and the different schools should be judged by how much they are bringing us to love of God. So it would be a matter of rasa as the way to analyze What is the taste that we get in that school? What type of revelation about the Supreme that we get? And our acharyas go deep into that subject, that God can be approached from a neutral perspective. Shantaras, Almighty Lord, you're so wonderful. You do you, I do me. Then there's servitorship. Oh God Almighty, you are all powerful. You are big, I'm small. How can I serve you? I am your servant. Then there's the friendship. Yeah, some people sometimes think you're God. But, what's so special about you? Like Krishna and his friends. Krishna is said to be famous for being the guy that doesn't get chosen. When they make different teams. So Balaram will be choosing his boys and Subal will be choosing other groups. So they choose this one, that one. And at the end, there's Krishna still standing, And each one will say, well, I don't know, Subal, you want him? Or should I take him? Because they consider him not so expert at all these games. So they don't take him too seriously. Krishna, just close your eyes. Here's a nice sweet for you. You're going to like it. And Krishna closes his eyes and they pop a flower into his mouth. He chews and it's bitter, and they laugh at him. Ha ha. He's their friend. They don't think, it's not a big deal. He's not God. So it's sweeter. So we look as we try to understand the different schools. Are we being exposed to this kind of revelation? We find mainly in the Abrahamic religions that the understanding of God as the Father is very prominent. But the fathers or the parents are famous for being exploited by their bundles of joy. And the children from young are crying, and it's the parents' headache to figure out, what does this child want? And then later on, they're able to tell the parents, I want this helicopter, I want a train, I want a gun. In the shops, they're pulling down things and screaming, throwing tantrums, demanding service from the parents. So that conception, although there's sweetness, but it is one-sided. Daddy, daddy, mommy, mommy, give me, give me, give me. So also we find that in such a conception, then the worshippers tend to be always in the ear of God about how he should solve their problems. Sometimes they'll have 6 to 6. In our movement, if we do 24-hour kirtan, it's a big deal. We really did it. In Christianity, they'll have what's called a 6 to 6. So they'll have a big tent, gazebo somewhere, and from 6 p.m., the fun begins. And so the whole thing is that you have promised us many things, God, and you are God who keeps your promises. You said those who ask shall receive. And so we've basically got you in the corner, and we're going to remind you all your promises and really ask you, if you don't understand Zulu or English, we're going to speak in tongues. And basically, TV, health, marriage, promotion, material desires, generally. Some may ask for something more. So we can try to understand if that is very pleasing to the Lord. As Prabhupada says here, that to approach the demigods or to approach the Lord in some instances, he has said, that's good. Krishna wants us to come to him. Although we may be coming for material desires, it's better than not approaching the Lord. But it is not the best position demand so many things. And they have good microphones and speakers. Just so that if Krishna has got earwax, he must definitely hear them. So we can find ourselves in a similar position. Most of the time, we have issues. We have to come to Krishna. And we have to ask Krishna to help us. But we understand from our acharyas that that is not the topmost position. We should be asking the Lord how to serve Him. So we hear of then Vatsalya. This is very scarce to hear, how God can be in the position of a child to his devotee. That love where the devotee thinks that they're in a superior position and they want to protect the Lord. This in the Vaishnav philosophy is there. We are in Kartik month and we are hearing about the Vatsalya Prema of Mother Yashoda. She was going to discipline Krishna with her stick. And Krishna is afraid when he's running. And he's crying. He's rubbing his eyes. And he's looking up, don't beat me. So this conception sometimes seems very far-fetched. Blasphemy. How can you say God has a mother? You have a mother, rascal. Why won't he have a mother if he wants? So, we all have our mothers, and Krishna is the source of that relationship, of parental relationship. And so he, as the supreme enjoyer, displays supreme enjoyment in that relationship. Conjugal rasa is unheard of in most parts. Yet we hear in the different traditions, those saints who have gone quite deep, sometimes have composed and spoken of that relationship where they see the Lord as a beloved, as a lover. And most of the times in those traditions, that is not really explained. It's seen as it's a little bit of a disturbance, some esoteric thing that one saint sort of went over, too much religious, and sort of lost it and now has such a conception. But that is the highest conception. So we have discussed Krishna worship, Bhagavan worship, and we're juxtaposing it to this demigod worship. That is this type of relationship of pleasing the authority, the supreme. We find in demigod worship, generally, it is really one-sided. It's generally a material desire, where Krishna is himself saying, Antavat tu phalam tesham. That the fruit of worshipping demigods is very limited and temporary. It's like you leave a banana. When you first get it, it really looks great. But come see it after a few days. Then it's really a bit useless. So material desires like that, it's a little bit shiny. At least our minds, emphasize the glory of fulfilling that desire. And so we put our energy, even our whole lives, in trying to acquire, fulfill our material desires, only to find that they wither and then they vanish before us. The body won't last. The demigod won't last. What the demigod gives you also won't last. So Krishna is kind that his devotee should not be desirous of that which is temporary. Krishna wants to give that which is eternal. In this purport, though, we are being shown a very positive side of the demigods. Because this philosophy is not fanatic, as we said. It's very much inclusive, and therefore we are being given an understanding how to see the demigods. It's a family of souls. Krishna has said, Mama Vangso Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. All living beings are my eternal parts and parcels. Part and parcel of God. You can wear a hat like that. Part and parcel of God. Print t-shirts. That is our glory. We are part and parcel of God. He is glorious. We are what we are. But we are coming towards the glorious. So the demigods are also part and parcel of Krishna. And they have been deputed with greater responsibility in managing the universe. They have greater power, and therefore they rank higher in this material system of governance. And so to approach them is bona fide, but we should understand who they are. They are also servants of God. They are also given temporary bodies, although they may last very long and may possess mystic powers. So here it is discussed that if we approach them, it should be for the benediction to reach Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada is saying here that they are also very favorable to one who wants to worship the Lord. And so we are hearing here of how Lord Shiva is assuring the Pracetas that I know what you're going to do, why you've come here. Just like I know why you're all sitting here. Maybe I think I know. Jai Shishi Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Shishi Gauranitai Jai Yashoda Damoda. So someone may come and ask, why are these persons sitting here? Well, they've come to hear something from Srimad Bhagavatam. So he understood that they were going to perform tapasya. And this tapasya austerity was to please Vishnu. And that was pleasing to Lord Shiva. Why? Because he himself, Vaishnavanam Yata Shambhu, he is the best of the Vaishnavas. And those who are trying to please Vishnu are very dear to him, because he also is a devotee. So he's on the side of the devoted. And he is pleased, and he's saying that I will give my mercy unto you. Anugrahaya Bhadramva. This Anugrahaya, for the matter of showing you mercy. The path of devotion is very much dependent on mercy. We don't have much strength. We don't have much strength to walk this path safely to its conclusion. So we require the mercy of the acharyas, the mercy of the devotees. And immediately Lord Shiva is assuring them, I will give you the mercy, because your intention is correct. In the Gita, why the demigod worship is being decried, it is something like, so the rain will fall, and when the rain falls, enters the rivers, we know it will get to the ocean. So Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has adopted this, that if a devotee, if a person pours water into a flowing river, the water will reach the ocean, but not that individual. If you pour the water will flow to the ocean. But we don't expect that the person pouring the water will themselves reach the ocean. So in worshipping the demigods, the worshipper, their glorification and worship, it will reach Krishna, the ocean. But the worshipper may not reach Krishna. Because it is a matter of the bhava. Krishna said in the end that antakale chamameva, and he says yam yam vapismaram bhavam tajanti ante kalevaram. Ante, at the end, your bhava, your mood, is what will take you to your destination. And worshipping the demigod means the mood is materialistic. It is devoid of the pure motivation to please Krishna. So although the worship is going on and the demigod on behalf of Krishna receives it and it goes to Krishna, the person who is offering it doesn't go to Krishna because he lacks the interest in pleasing the lotus feet of Krishna. So that is why Krishna discourages that type of worship. Those who are then worshippers of the different demigods may not like to hear that. It sounds like, okay, you guys think you're special, ne? Is that the problem? You think you're special. They think it's a preference, so a group that prefers Krishna has decided to make themselves very much an elite group. Yet the Bhagavad Gita, which is accepted in the Vedic culture, as it's become like the essential main scripture. Of course, it is within the Mahabharata. Krishna, in many, many verses, declares his supreme position. So it is not being made up by Srila Prabhupada. That, that's a criticism that comes to Prabhupada. He emphasizes too much bhakti. Everything bhakti, everywhere bhakti. There's no bhakti, he puts bhakti. But Srila Prabhupada is really exemplifying what Krishna says, that, so many purposes could be served by a reservoir of water, but the ocean can do better. You've got a small reservoir of water, you can do something. But with the ocean, you can do more. So the Vedas are also vast, but one who gains benefit from them is one who knows the purpose behind the Vedas. And Krishna says, Vedaischa Vaya Aham Eva Vedya Vedanta Krit Veda Ved Eva Cham. By all the Vedas, I am to be known. And so Krishna and his devotee, at least Prabhupada, is making sure that as you walk the path of jnana, of karma, of yoga, you understand that it is bhakti, bhaktya mama bijanati, yavanyas chasmi tatvata. That is what will earn that full reciprocation from Krishna. So the demigods are on our side in this purport we're hearing. Of course, we hear in other places the demigods also they try to impede certain devotees. Lord Indra is famous for stealing horses. People are performing Ashwamedha Yagya and he's thinking, they want to take my position, so I must disturb them before they become powerful and take my position. We see also in the Bhagavatam, just towards closing, in relation to Lord Shiva, and in relation to this point that Krishna cares for us, that he wants to protect us from the material desire, and he wants us to understand that also the demigod are themselves dependent on him. So why go to the dependent, go to the independent? We hear the pastime of Vekasura. He is performing heavy tapasya to the point where he wants to offer his own head. I don't know what you want that badly that he's starting to chop his own flesh, his offering, and then he's ready to cut his own head and offer. So how will you receive the benediction? Anyway, that is emotional blackmail to the highest degree. Sometimes people do like that. I love you so much, if you don't reciprocate, I will kill myself. Okay, then okay, what do you want? So that we prevent your suicide. Not to downplay suicide, such a heavy social ill. But then he appeared there, Lord Shiva, okay, what do you want? And the guy was there, okay, yes, I've pressured him to come. He's looking and he's looking at Shiva, he's looking at Shiva's wife, also he's calculating, she's very beautiful, he's standing in the way, if I kill him, I can get her. And so then he asked for a benediction. You give me a benediction that whoever's head I touch, it cracks into 1,000 pieces. And who would have thought that would be something he underwent so much tapasya for? Just how to kill people. And that happens also. We see it in this material world. So much research and money goes into military funding. I know the US is like something like 2/3, I mean it sounds ridiculous, of the budget is military readiness. I mean, come on, it's just too much. But it proves the point that material consciousness means defense. That's the animal platform. So animalistic men and women are always thinking how to defend. So all that money. So he wanted that benediction. And Lord Shiva, okay, you have it. And this man immediately wanted to test his benediction. He wanted to put it on Shiva's head. So Shiva could understand, oh no, this is not good. He started to run. And he was chasing him everywhere. Shiva's running. He's really in trouble. This is his worshipper. He's putting him into difficulty. Then appears Lord Vamanadev to say, hey, why all this running? You look so tired. You're from such a good family. You shouldn't be running like this. What's the problem? Tell me. And Vamanadev, being the Lord, very attractive brahmachari, just effulgent and very nice. And so Vikasura said, yeah, no, it's this Shiva. I did my tapasya, I wanted my benediction that if I touch anyone's head, he offered it to me, but I wanted to test it, and now he's running. Shiva, how can you believe Shiva's benediction works? Just look at him carefully. Looks very dirty, and skulls and scorpions and ashes, and look at his associates. His power to give benediction expired a long time ago. If you don't believe me, just put your hand on your own head. You'll see, nothing will happen. He cheated you. Now you're busy running like an uncivilized person. Spare yourself the energy. So now Krishna is speaking, the Lord, it's like pouring nectar into the ear. Like he got Nanda Maharaj to stop the whole Indra Yagya because of his sweet speech. He goes, okay, what do you want, Krishna? Okay, we'll worship Govardhan. So Vikasura thought, okay, yeah, actually, why should I be chasing him? He's a useless guy. He put on his own head and Gangamai. So in this way, the Lord protected Shiva. He talked to him, look, don't just give willy-nilly any of these materialistic desires of your followers. Also, he showed us, just see all that tapasya to get some silly benediction, which in the end also was the end of the same worshipper. You don't know what to desire. We desire things that will be harmful to us. Just like money. Everyone wants money. We all want money. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, 2 things in this world are real. The holy name and cash in hand. I mean, such a grave acharya. This is an interesting statement to hear. That he's not like in the clouds somewhere. He understood how this world moves means dinero. And so, this money it can do many wonderful things. And it can also build like 20 huge stadiums. I flew Qatar to come here. I don't know how many. They were advertising to us this World Cup and how these stadiums are state of the art and they cost X amount dollars. And when you think about it from the Bhaktivedanta purport angle, you know, not from being an earthling and just, yes, World Cup, it's nice. It's just like, yeah, what a waste of money. What a waste of money. So that's mild. Sometimes money is really, Russia, Ukraine, is being used to end life. All these jets, all these bombs, cost a lot of money. So when it's said that Shudras should not be given money, in today's world, that's just controversial. What is this, calling people Shudras, that they shouldn't be given money? Are you proposing slavery? But from a sober perspective is that there's a mentality where people don't know how to properly utilize money. So material desires can also be the death of us, can harm us. And we see how this demon took so much trouble to get such a silly desire which killed him, and he was also trying to kill Indra. So in closing, Srila Bhivamangal Thakur talks about the glory of unalloyed devotion to Krishna, that by becoming situated in pure devotion, that even liberation is standing with folded palms ready to serve the devotee. Prabhupada says at the end of his purport, the transcendental position of devotional service is that one receives all the benefits of dharma, artha, karma, and moksha. So pure devotional service, one side of the spectrum, material desire at the other end. Demigod worship tends to lean towards material desire. Krishna worship is leaning towards pure unalloyed devotion. By pure unalloyed devotion, all desires are fulfilled. By material desires, calamity. At best, you will get a shiny coffin, and you'll have thousands of people probably broadcast on TV that you left your body. But what does it do for the soul? But for the devotee, Nehabikramana sosti pratyavana vijate swalpamasya dhamasya chayate mato bhahat. At every step, whatever we are doing in Krishna consciousness and devotional service is always gain. Gain, gain, gain. We were just in Vrindavan, in the Dham, in the temples, even just lying down, taking a nap. The liberal position of the Lord is accepting this as obeisances. Therefore, even our language is, we're resting. We're not just sleeping, we're resting because we're in the mood of service, always. Even the is part of the service because we're using the body, the mind in service of Krishna. So, Lord Shiva is acknowledging these pracetas for their intention to worship Lord Vishnu by their tapasya, and he is revealing his internal mood of being a Vaishnava himself, being pleased with their desire, and he's promising them his mercy. And by that mercy, we can only expect that their yagya will be a success. Kantarat Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. If there's any comments or questions, if we're not too out of time.
Thank you very much. You just mentioned that by pure devotion, all desires are fulfilled. Can you say more about that, and which kind of desire? Because if I understood well, the purpose is to not fulfill the material desire and transcend them. So, thank you.
So yeah, Prabhupada, thank you for that question. Because it's all desires are fulfilled. Yes, so Dharma is religion. So we're trying to fulfill desires by following scripture. Then Artha, we want economic development so we can enjoy. Karma, sense gratification. And generally when we're frustrated with Artha and Karma, then someone may think, stop the world, I want to get off. They want liberation. So pure devotional service is such that Krishna says, my devotee may desire something silly like Dhruva wanted a planet bigger and better than Lord Brahma's. So he did all that tapasya and is choking the universe with his austerities. But Krishna is so kind that I will not be stupid like my devotee who wants material desire. I will fulfill their desire in such a way that they will not desire that again. So with Dhruva, by just appearing, Krishna is so transcendentally attractive that Dhruva Maharaj immediately felt like